What's up, everybody? My name is Andrew, and welcome to the Music Spiel, where I rant about music for possibly a bit too long. Today is going to be a very special episode. Today, I get to talk about those amazing gentlemen that make up Dunka Dunka. No, I did not stutter. Their band name is Dunka Dunka. It's beautiful, I know. Take all the time you need to soak it in. I wouldn't consider it mysterious shit, but I feel like most people on this side of the Atlantic have yet to hear of them, so that's why I'm here. This episode is, of course, going to focus on their latest release, Meet the Press, but I'm also going to give some backstory and some of the band's history as gathered through their post-release Q&A session on Instagram Live, which they have so graciously uploaded to their account for all to see. Definitely go check them out on there as well, not only so you can double-check my work, but also so you can see the quality content they've put out so far. For the backstory, the four fine gentlemen that make up Dunka Dunka met in East Berlin in 1964. Well, 3 of them met then, the other found his way to the group in the 80s. But they formed because, and I quote, "Love had been lost, and Dunka decided that love needed to be found again." You'll notice on the album and on the EP that they sing in English with slight British or American accents, but that is only because their record label Big Corporate Record Group believes that they'll sell better as an English act. The 4 members of the band are as follow. The illustrious Dunka Violet, who got his first taste of fame at age 9 when he danced for 3 days straight in the city square with no music and fills the Morrissey frontman archetype quite nicely. The laudable Dunka Cyan, who is a shy technocrat to his core, spending his days reading cyberpunk novels and making electronic drum patterns with the Roland TR-707 rhythm composer. The legendary Dunka Lime, who is the smart and charming member of the group, recruited by many groups because of his prowess for synthesizers and keyboards, though he did stick to his roots with Dunka Dunka. And finally, the merciful Dunka Marigold, who sticks to the stoic bass player persona and is the one who the other 3 found in 1983. Some say he was birthed in the pocket. Now that I've gotten the history out of the way, it's time to focus on what we're all here for, the music. Dunka Dunka stormed onto the scene with their Ethernet Multiverse EP in 2019 after sitting on their music for decades with the now famous songs Strike 'Em Down, Natural Selection, and Please Leave Me Be. While they could have been satisfied with the acclaim that came their way for just these 3 songs, it was important to the members of Dunka Dunka that their more personal side come out, so they buckled down to work on their follow-up full-length album, Meet the Press. Meet the Press was released into this world on September 4th, 2020, the same day I started gathering all my ideas for how to run this podcast and setting up all my social accounts. I like to think this isn't coincidence, but a cosmic force tying me to these amazing musicians. I'm going to take Meet the Press track by track, as that's how they went through the album on their Q&A session. The intro, is a beautiful teaser for what's to come and serves as a phenomenal introduction to the members of the band. The main synth line sounds like something right out of the arcades of days gone by, and as they slowly layer chords and synth bass over the top of this simple line and drum pattern, it becomes apparent that this is not going to be your standard album. This is going to be a memorable experience. And then Badlands comes in to confirm everything you just started thinking about during the intro. It was the first song written for the album, and it truly showcases just how good of a writer Violet is. He takes the story of the 1973 film Badlands and turns it into a true coming-of-age song. As is the case for most songs on this album, it centers around a drum pattern and one looping synth motif, with the other members of Dunka Dunka layering their parts on top when necessary, but allowing the lyrics to take center stage and show off Dunka Violet's singing and songwriting prowess. The next track, Moonbase Nightclub, is based on real events. I couldn't find anything to corroborate their claims, but apparently East Germany had something akin to a space bus that would take citizens to the nightclub in Sector 12B of a hidden moon base. Everything in this song is straight out of the nightclub scene. Pounding drums, octaves on the bass, a cowbell, an emphasis on the keyboards and synthesizers, high vocals with catchy melodies, it's all here. While it might appear over the top, there's something magical about the way Dunka Dunka brings all the elements together for a truly masterful spacey nightclub vibe. Following that is a live recording of the first time they performed the title track, Meet the Press. It's very clearly a live recording from a packed stadium in Munich, and according to Dunka Marigold, he didn't know a fan had brought a saxophone on stage until he heard the final recording, as his in-ear monitors had cut out right before it happened. The lyrics detail the struggles of working with a record label, but they also give the label's perspective, albeit snarkily, so you can fully understand the full situation. This was the song that made the band realize, and again, I quote, "We have become new wave itself." The next track, however, takes us out of that new wave energy. Dunka Waltz Movement 1 is a beautiful homage to a movie within a novel. I didn't pick up from the Q&A exactly what novel it was, but I'll hopefully get their attention with this episode and have an opportunity to ask Dunka Lime about it. The highlight of this track has to be the vocals. Strings are nice, drums come in and push the energy forward, the bass line's pretty cool, and the guitar tone is amazing when it shows up, but the lead vocals by Violet and the group vocals that layer onto the second verse really steal the show. Following the Waltz is one of the most ludicrous songs I've ever heard, but it is based on a true story. Dunka Violet did, in fact, get into a crash on Love Street. His reawakening was a sort of rebirth for him, and it appears to be the impetus for the group pushing to make their music as famous across the world as it already was in their home of East Berlin. In the 12 years Violet was in a coma, the other members didn't make any music. That is a testament to the genius that is Dunka Violet. Remember how I said that song was one of the most ludicrous songs I've ever heard? Well, I lied. Something Peculiar, the next track after Crash on Love Street, is even more ludicrous. Yet, again, it's a very self-explanatory song. If you were to wake up one morning and everything in your life was just a little thrown off, you would also feel like you were in a Kafkaesque hellscape. The Ending Diatribe by Dunka Violet is one of the most gut-wrenching attacks of paranoia I've ever heard, and while it isn't based on a true story, the pain in his voice is evident. Mistakes is very ordinary, as is the title character. I won't spend too much time talking about her or the song. It's good, it's nice, but it's very ordinary. Even Dunka Dunka will tell you that. The highlight of the album, though, and of this whole rollout, is the song November 68. It is the album's main single, and it beautifully tells the story of two lovers separated by the Berlin Wall. All the vocals are astounding, the driving synth loop gets stuck in your head, and the storytelling in the lyrics is beautiful and heart-wrenching. The production splitting certain aspects to the left and right speakers is indicative of the wall between East and West Germany, which is an amazing production choice. I was really hyped to see what Dunka Dunka was doing after the Ethernet Multiverse EP, but this song made me get even more excited. When they released this as a single, I finally understood just how good these gentlemen in Dunka Dunka are. I hope to meet them someday and ask them questions in person about their process and how everything comes together. Though the album ends on November 68, they included an extended version of Please Leave Me Be at the end as a bonus track. It turns out this was the first song written by the group after Cyan discovered the Roland TR-707 rhythm composer, and it's truly a beautiful song. I highly recommend Meet the Press and this group to anyone who wants to listen to some new wave or synth pop calling back to a bygone era that some seem to have already forgotten about. However, even in the midst of 2020, Dunka Dunka manages to bring the concept of love back into the listener's life, so I think they have succeeded. I cannot wait to see what they do next. I think I'm going to leave it at that, with an added plea. If any of the fine gentlemen of Dunka Dunka come across this, I would love to get in contact with you and interview you. Just food for thought. I know you're busy guys and we're in the middle of a pandemic, but I'd love to sit down with you. Thanks for checking out the Music Spiel. Next episode coming soon. Hope to see you there.
lesson. Watch out, baby, it's natural selection.